Okay, so it looks like I got this thing sitting here, ready to go, but got an issue here. You can see that the starter button there needs to go through that little hole right here. And hello there, and welcome back to Easy Simple Mechanic. Today we're gonna try and finish putting on the front cowl and get this body bolted down. Now, we set it on there, but I had to figure out how that cowl goes in there, and now that I figured it out, it looks like it may require me to lift the cab just a little bit. I mean the body, I keep saying cab, darn trucks. Anyway, so we got to take the body and lift it a little bit to be able to get the front cowl underneath the front end of the body. So we're gonna try and get the front cowl on it and then get everything aligned, get all the wood blocks where they need to be, and get this thing bolted down. Once I was able to get the front seat out of it, and let's see if we can take a look at that first. So let's see, let me show you guys in here. So we were able to get the front seat out of it there, so we could expose these bolts in here. Where are they? Here we go. Sorry about that, this camera moving it around. But there's where the bolts go that I could see poking out the bottom. So I got this in there, and I found where the other bolts go in right in here. So I was trying to figure out how to get that seat out. It just, all it does is you got to grab it from the back and pop it up, and then you can pull it out. No big deal to do that. But yeah, to get these bolts down here lined up and everything, and there's some blocks that go under there. I'm gonna have to lift the whole front of this up to be able to get those blocks in there, get them aligned. I'll get bolts through them. And then, as you can see right there where those two bolts are, on that side, the front cowl goes underneath the body. So that's where the challenge comes in. So I'm gonna have to probably pull off those spare wheel holders and try and get that cowl in there. And then it fits real close to the engine. See, there's the gas pedal right there. So with these pedals sticking out, obviously it looks like those are all going to be sticking inside the cab. So I know that that's going to be a challenge, because that's going to be right up against the engine. And I may be looking at that because it may be that cowl went on there first and then the body sat on it later. So that's where my challenge is. So what I may have to do is I may have to lift this whole thing up in the air again and get that cowl in there. I don't know. We'll see what I can come up with to get that done. But at least now it's in the garage and it's sitting where I feel comfortable that if we need to, we can set it back down on the frame as we move it in and out of the garage. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get to work. See, and here's the front cowl here, and as you can see, that little piece there, it's not just wood. There's some metal that goes over the wood piece in there. So I have to take those front wood pieces in there and slide them. First I got to knock the old ones out because they look like they're split a little bit, dried out wood. But I got to get that out, get the new blocks of wood inside there, and then that has metal over the top of it and underneath it as well. So that's the challenge. We got to get that assembled on here first, and then take this and set it on the frame, and then try and get the body on to go over the top of these. And this cowl here, see, you can see it has right in here, this comes up right up against the engine, because here's where the gas pedal goes through right here. And so, you know, that's right up against the back of the engine. So that's my challenge, actually. That's gonna be kind of tough. The good thing is it's got an opening right in the front there, and it takes a floorboard that goes on there, which is a piece of wood basically, that covers up that stuff. So I'm hoping that that little opening is enough room to be able to get this in there without having to take the body off of the frame and then set it back down. Now it does take, it takes a little deal between the body of the car and here. Now instead of just putting them on and bolting those together without anything in between them, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take some duct tape and put some duct tape right along this edge, just so there's no squeaking and that kind of thing. And I'll put that on here, and then also put it on the other side, and then I'll go ahead and get these little holes knocked out again so we can get bolts through it. I think that's how I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do the same thing when I get the gas tank on top of here. As you can see, there looked like something was on here before, so instead of just setting it metal on metal, I'm gonna go ahead and do that so that it doesn't wear through the paint and then cause some rusting to go on. So first thing I'm gonna do is wash this thing, and then we'll go ahead and get the new pieces of wood in it and work from there. Well, as you can tell, that was a challenge getting those blocks of wood out of there. A couple of reasons. You can see all the old rusty stuff on these blocks of wood, but I think what was holding them up is it looks like they had a nail stuck in here in that wood, and they also did the same thing on this one. As you can see it here, there's a nail stuck there, and that nail wasn't allowing that wood to slide in there. So I didn't notice those nails there, but man, that was a workout getting that done. So let's keep going and get this thing washed. Okay, so you guys can see there that I did the best I could to try and get as much of that surface rust off of there, and it's kind of hard to see, but you can see there that I scraped that some. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this stuff here. You guys can look at it. It's not too expensive if you get it at like Home Depot. I think it's a concrete and metal prep. It's supposed to help the paint stick, but also if you get it on the rusty stuff, it'll eat away at that rust. And so if you get it on there with it wet, it'll stay and it won't allow the rust to continue. So that's kind of what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in a spray bottle of this, and I'm gonna mix it at 25%. Now you have to be careful not to get any of that stuff on the paint, because this is acid, by the way, so you want to make sure to be very careful. I tried to get it on the edge, but I put a rag right on the edge to keep it from running over the edge and getting on the paint, because this is an acid, so this will keep this stuff here fresh. But it just had surface rust, so we could probably get by with it just putting the wood in there, but I kind of like to make sure that it doesn't develop any additional rust. And I would throw some paint on it, because this is kind of like a prep, so that the paint will stick even on a rusty surface once you get this stuff on there. But like I said before, it's such a tight fit with the wood in there that if I put paint in there, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to damage the wood getting it in there. So I want it to go in there pretty easy, so that it doesn't get mauled up by me hammering on it to get it in there. You can see how that rust is just kind of gone away. What I'm gonna do now is I'm trying to pound those wood blocks into position. Now they do gotta come in from the other side, because if not, it'll get stuck in there. So you need to make sure it comes in from the other side if you decide to do that. This is the side that goes underneath the body. The other side's a side that goes towards the engine. But yeah, you need to bring it in from that side. So there they are, folks. Got new wood blocks in on this cowl. So now we can work to try and get this worked in underneath that body and see where it's gonna fit. So let's see if we can get that done. Okay, so it looks like I got this thing sitting here, ready to go, but got an issue here. You can see that the starter button there needs to go through that little hole right here, and so I'm gonna have to pull that rod off the starter so that this thing will drop down where it needs to go. See, I got this crescent on here. I'm gonna get some pliers on here and take that little rod off of there so that I can set that all the way down, and we'll go from there. So we got the starter button off of the starter here. We pulled the cowling back away. So I had forgotten to put something in between there. I just want something soft here so it doesn't just scratch all the paint surface off. So I put some duct tape along there on both sides, and I went ahead and I put some in here. I got these little bolts started here so that it'll be ready when we go to try and get this back in there. So let's give this another try. I'm gonna have to lift that cab or that body up again just enough to get this cowling underneath it, and we'll try that again. Well, folks, and there you have it. I got this body sitting all the way down on the blocks and on the frame. You can see all the bolts lined up. I got all my rubber grommets in there, and Man, what a challenge to get everything lined up. I'll tell you what, for a one-man job, that's kind of a pain, because you gotta hold your mouth just right every chance you get. But anyway, we got that in there. I'm glad we didn't bolt everything down and tighten it all down before putting in this cowl, because there's a very tight space in here. And I won't lie, I had to take this cable holder out because it was starting to scratch up the paint there a little bit. So you guys saw me struggle with getting this thing on, but now that we've got that on there, we should be able to just move forward with this thing. This little piece was a bit more challenging than I expected, but it's in there now. And man, I didn't realize how tight at quarters that was gonna be. If you can see that, that's pretty tight in there. So, well folks, I guess that's gonna have to do it for this episode. So please like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.